When you sit down to study, you tell yourself just 1 hour without the phone. But after 10 minutes, your brain starts whispering. Check your messages. Maybe you missed something. Suddenly, you're not studying anymore. You're scrolling. And then you realize it wasn't you who got distracted. It was your brain. Today, I'm going to show you how to take your focus back. Not by forcing yourself, but by understanding the psychology and neuroscience behind distraction. Let's rewire your brain. The science of distraction. Your brain isn't designed for today's world. Thousands of years ago, the human brain evolved to hunt, survive, and detect danger. That's why your brain loves new things. Every notification feels like a potential threat or reward. This is where dopamine comes in. It's not the chemical of pleasure, it's the chemical of motivation. It gives you the desire to want. Every scroll, every like gives your brain a small hit of dopamine. Over time, it conditions your brain to constantly seek stimulation. That's why when you try to study, silence feels uncomfortable, even painful. But here's the good news. You can retrain your brain's dopamine system to want to focus again. How to reprogram your brain for focus. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity. It means your brain literally rewires itself based on what you repeatedly do. Every time you stay focused for just 10 minutes, you strengthen the neural pathways of focus. And every time you give in to distraction, you strengthen the opposite path. Focus isn't a talent, it's a skill. And like any other skill, it grows with practice. 3 advanced scientific systems for focus. 1. Dopamine Reset Routine. Set a 60-minute block with 0 external dopamine. No phone, no notifications, no songs with lyrics. At first, it's hard. Your brain will try to escape. But around the 15-minute mark, something changes. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that controls focus, wakes up. This is where real deep work begins. Then you get a kind of high, not because you forced yourself to focus, but because your brain adapted to the silence. 2. The anchor habit technique. Choose a physical trigger, for example, a hoodie, a scent, or a playlist, and use it only while studying. That becomes your focus anchor. Over time, your brain associates that cue with deep concentration. This is classical conditioning. You're training your brain the same way an athlete builds muscle memory. Eventually, that smell or that song instantly puts you in focus mode. 3. The 2-minute motion rule. Tell yourself, I'll just start for 2 minutes. Your brain hates starting, not continuing. Once you start writing, reading, or solving problems, momentum builds. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain dislikes leaving things unfinished. You can use that to your advantage. Start small, and before you know it, you're fully immersed in the task. The flow state formula. There's a mental state called flow, where your mind and actions are completely synchronized. You lose track of time. Everything feels effortless. Researchers found that flow happens when you have a clear and specific goal, a task with a moderate level of challenge, and minimal distractions. When these 3 combine, your brain releases dopamine, norepinephrine, and anandamide, a perfect chemical cocktail for peak performance. You're no longer fighting for focus. You become focus itself. Rewriting your identity. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you're not just finishing a chapter. You're changing your identity. You're proving to yourself, I can control my mind. And when you start seeing yourself as a focused person, your habits naturally follow. Because identity drives behavior, not force or willpower. In a world built to steal your attention, focus is your superpower. You don't need more time. You need more presence. So next time you sit down to study, remember, you're not just opening a book. You're reprogramming your brain to fall in love with discipline. Because one day, when you look back, you'll realize that your ability to focus was your greatest weapon. Train your brain. Control your world. And now, if you want to love studying the way you love scrolling reels, your next step should be watching this video.